attorney and legal affairs commentator Areva Martin. Areva, Diddy will have his family with him today in court, and importantly, the defence is expected to show a video. Viewers can see a part of that CNN has obtained. It's almost sort of campaign style and shows Combs with his children and in the community. It's easy, I think, to see the point that the defence is trying to make with this. But from your legal perspective, how do you expect it to land with the judge, and what are the risks?
Well, Becky, I don't think this video presentation, as you said, this kind of campaign style video, or the letter that Combs has submitted to the court begging for leniency is going to change the reality that this judge has stated pretty clearly throughout this proceeding and definitely post-conviction that there was tremendous evidence presented during this trial to support the convictions as well as to support the claims that we know victims like Cassie Ventura continue to make, which is that Sean Combs is dangerous, that he is violent. The Federal Probation Department has already weighed in. They've made their recommendation that his sentencing land somewhere between 5 and 7 years. So I doubt that this video or anything that Combs does today will persuade the court to accept the recommendation from his team, which is to sentence him to 14 months, give him 12 months served, and allow him to go home within the next month or so.
Diddy, as you say, has written a lengthy letter to the judge, and I just want our viewers to get a part of that. I realise he says in that letter that this trial has received a tremendous amount of global press, and Your Honour may be inclined to make an example out of me, he said. I would ask Your Honour to make me an example of what a person can do if afforded a second chance. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the judge is not going to take too kindly to the suggestion that the judge would be swayed by global media attention to a trial. So I'm not sure why his lawyers thought that that was a appropriate statement to make to a federal judge. I think the judge is going to do what judges do, which is weigh the evidence that was presented at trial, weigh the recommendations made by the Federal Probation Department, the victim impact statements. We know that Cassie Ventura has written a lengthy letter to the court stating that she continues to fear for her life and fear that if Combs is released, that he will seek retribution against her. So again, an odd and I would say rather offensive statement to make to a federal court judge.
Court sources, as I understand it, telling CNN that the sentencing of Sean Diddy Combs could last all day and potentially continue into Monday. Does that surprise you?
Not at all. Given what's at stake, given the repeated motions that have been made by the defense team, given the 70+ letters that have been presented by the defense team, this 15-minute video, this is going to be a lengthy proceeding. Each side is going to be given ample opportunity by the court to make their respective cases. And I don't expect that we'll get a decision from this judge, within an hour or two. I think we will be waiting through the afternoon and possibly until Monday, because I anticipate both sides making very, very rigorous and vigorous arguments to the court.
We've talked about the defence posture through the campaign-style video, as we're describing it, and the letter written by Sean Combs himself. For the prosecution, his former girlfriend testified in trial, of course, and Cassie Ventura also wrote a letter to the judge saying, in part, I know that who he was to me, the manipulator, the aggressor, the abuser, the trafficker, is who he is as a human. I hope that your decision considers the truths at hand that the jury failed to see. Of course, the jury found him not guilty of trafficking and coercion. Again, to your point, you believe the judge will already have made his decision. But could that, when the judge reads that request from Ventura, be seen as running counter to justice since it so plainly disagrees with the jury's ruling?
Well, I don't think the judge has to consider the evidence that was presented relevant to the claims for which he was found not guilty. There is Supreme Court case law and well-established precedent that courts should not consider those acts, pieces of evidence that were presented during a trial that resulted in a not guilty verdict. But I don't think the judge needs to reach, I don't think the judge needs to even contemplate that evidence. I think there's sufficient evidence tied to the two
Right.
charges for which he was found guilty that will give the judge ample room to make a decision, I think, more consistent with the federal probation decision.
So this is interesting because there are no cameras in the courts, but CNN is just learning that prosecutors and Combs' defense teams have hours-long presentations. So if your analysis is that any further evidence from either side, not evidence, but any further presentations from either side, be that in videos or in letters or whatnot, are not likely to sway the judge at this point. Why would the defense and the prosecutions present this further material today, these hours-long presentations in court?
Well, let me be clear. I don't want to suggest that the judge is not going to take into consideration the presentations made by both sides today. I think the judge comes into this hearing with an open mind. He's had an opportunity to review the federal probation recommendation of 5 to 7 years. He's had an opportunity to review the legal briefs that have been filed by both sides. And I do think the judge will continue to be open to the arguments made by both sides today. My point earlier was that there has been indications from this judge relevant to how he's thinking about this case. He just recently denied motions for an acquittal, motions for a new trial, and in doing so stated that the evidence was sufficient for the convictions in the case. So I think that gives us a little window into how the judge is thinking, although I do believe the judge is going to be fair and he's going to take into consideration everything that is presented during the hearing today.
Understood. We are getting a little bit more information as you and I speak, and I'll give our viewers that because it wouldn't be fair for you to be trying to keep up with what is coming out of court as you are speaking to me. So we've just learned that the prosecution team is expected to speak first. Before I let you go, and I will come back to you later this hour, so thank you for being with us. Just remind our viewers on the range of possibilities that the judge has in front of him, to your mind, when it comes to sentencing today.
Yes. So what we know is that Sean Combs was found guilty on 2 counts of transportation with the intent to engage in commercial sex or prostitution. And each of those charges carries a sentence up to 10 years. If they were to run back to back, in theory, there could be a sentence up to 20 years. Unlikely, though, given what the federal sentencing guidelines are, and given, again, the recommendations from federal probation. The prosecution has asked for a sentence around 11 years with a couple of extra months, maybe 11 years, 4 months. The defense has asked for a sentence of 14 months and 12 months for time served. And again, probation department has recommended 5 to 7. So I think the range of what we're looking at is the 14 months on the low side from the defense team, the 11 years plus being requested by the prosecution. And then the judge has complete discretion. He can follow the recommendations and the request, or he can come up with a completely different sentence.